Welcome to my second video with essential and minimal Mandarin for getting around in Taiwan. 你会说英文吗? Can be really helpful if you're trying to get across in English. I find in the moment it's very hard to recall and use all the Chinese words I might be using. So even if you just said 英文吗, you'd be getting across the idea I speak English, can you speak English? And for your reference, 中文 is the Chinese language. Introducing yourself, well, there's lots of things you might want to say before you even introduce yourself, particularly if you're not at a point where you can have a conversation with someone in Chinese. But 我是 Laura, for example, is very easy. My name is, or I am. A different way to put that is 我叫 Laura. My name is. But 我是 and your name is pretty simple for just introducing yourself. And you could say 你呢, which is and you, if you want to know their name. Another common thing in introductions is to say where you're from, and often people are curious about that. So 我是美国人 is I am America person, and you can drop in any country you're actually from if you're not also American. Or maybe you live in a country that's not the same as your nationality. It might be easier for you to say that. 我住在英国, so I live in the UK, but maybe you're American and you live in the UK. 我是老师. Introducing your profession is another friendly thing if you feel that's worth sharing. And just notice that the Taiwanese drop a lot of the H's in sounds that are SH to us. So 我是老师, 我是老师 is maybe a little bit different from how you would hear it in the mainland. I love Taiwan. I actually really do love Taiwan, and I love to say 我很喜欢台湾, and that also buys me some love. 厕所间在哪里? I almost never pronounce the word for toilet, 厕所, and jian means room. I was told by a Taiwanese friend to put those two together. I guess it sounds really polite. I almost am never understood because I feel it's very hard to pronounce this spot on. So sometimes I just use the word toilet. 请问. This is a polite way to get someone's attention, maybe in a shop or in a restaurant. 请问, I've got a question. 你可以帮我吗? Can you help me? That might be useful too if you can remember it. 帮我 is help me. 我有问题. I've got a question or problem. Question and problem are the same word. Bye-bye. Nobody says 再见, which is the official way to say goodbye. Sometimes people say 明天见, which is I'll see you tomorrow. 明天 is tomorrow. But if you don't live in Taiwan, you might not say that. 不客气 is how you'd say you're welcome. If somebody says to you 谢谢, and I waited a long time to give you this one because I don't know that you always need it, but once you've got a good number of words under your belt, this is a nice one to know. But also note, in Taiwan, a lot of people say 不会 more than they say 不客气. 很可爱, you might hear a lot in Taiwan, and you certainly might think this a lot in Taiwan. Very cute. There's lots of cute things here. Everything's got a little cartoon character or animal on it. These are very helpful if you're in a shop, or you might notice this in place names, or you're ordering something at a restaurant, or you're ordering a drink. 小, 中, and 大. Small, medium, large. Very helpful words. Ika is one of, it's a measure word. A lot of times you have to use a measure word when you're talking about objects in Chinese. And, we might say, I'd like a pair of scissors. Pair of is a measure word. Ika, g is the most common measure word, but it doesn't go with everything. So if you want a cup of something, you need to use bei. So 一杯热的美式咖啡. I'd like a cup of hot Americano, for example. But if you're trying to pick something out in a shop and you just want one of them, you might use this, 一个. Don't worry if you have the right measure word or not. Usually people get that you're talking about, you want one of something. Hot and cold is really helpful when you're talking about food, like you want a hot drink versus a cold drink. 热的, 冰的. Directions are really useful. You see these in place names all the time, and you do in Taiwan. I'll get to that in a moment. But Bei is north, Nan is south, Dong, east, Xi, west, Zhong, center or middle. And you might have noticed there's lots of place names in Taiwan that follow this. So Taipei, Tainan, Taidong, Taichung, and getting to the next point. Oh, wait, there is a Taixi, but it's an itty bitty town between Zhonghua and Jiayi, and you probably never hear of it. This gets to Romanizations. There are a lot of signs in Taiwan that have moved over to using Hanyu pinyin, which was developed in the 1950s by linguists in China. But there's some holdover in a lot of the city names and town names from the older Romanization developed by British diplomats, Mr. Wade and Mr. Giles and his son. And so I personally think that Hanyu pinyin, or just pinyin, is easier to read than Wade Giles. For example, in Wade Giles, you might see the town name, the big city in the south, Kaohsiung. And what the heck do you do with H and S? H and S produces a kind of a sh sound, but there are different s, sh, z kind of sounds in Chinese. Oh, what happened? So you may notice a sign for one of these town names that might be hard for you to figure out how to pronounce. There's lots of family and people's names, like the president Tsai Ing-wen. She's using Wade Giles in her name, as does the president coming in 2024, Lai Ching-te. And then you have the added complication of the fact that some names of places and people are actually kind of connecting to Taiwanese, which is a form of Hokkalo, which is a dialect that most of the immigrants coming from China 400 and 500 years ago were using. So Xiao Bi Kim is the incoming vice president, but her Mandarin name is Xiao Mei Qin. So that's another little wrinkle. Same with Jilong. The original name for this is really kind of sounds different from Mandarin. So you have a mix of things where some place names come from an Aboriginal word, some come from maybe a Taiwanese word, and then later they get kind of maybe a Mandarin name, or they don't, but it might affect the pronunciation or the spelling. Xie is a common surname in Taiwan, and that is an example of a holdover of Wade Giles. And then another note on names. Even Taiwan itself, it's a little bit complicated where the origin of the word Taiwan means and what it means. I've put a link in the slide deck if you want to look at that. But Taiwan has two different characters you'll see used for the Tai part. And there's differences of opinion on where that comes from, whether this is using the traditional character versus the simplified character. So it's a little strange to use the simplified character in Taiwan since they're using traditional characters for everything. But at the same time, some say that that more simplified looking one isn't necessarily only simplified. It's that the word for Taiwan probably comes from the indigenous people's word to talk about the Chinese immigrants, that the Chinese immigrants heard and then thought they were referring to the name of the place they were in, which is one of the origin stories of Taiwan. So that Tai is phonetic. So you can use these two different characters because they both make that sound Tai. In English, if you have any history class recollections, you might know of Sun Yat-sen or Chiang Kai-shek. Well, nobody in Taiwan uses the names or says the names in these ways. If you hear about Sun Yat-sen, you might hear Sun Zhongshan, and you'll notice every town has a Zhongshan Road or Zhongshan Lu, because Sun Yat-sen is considered the father of the Republic of China, and that kind of morphs over to the father of Taiwan, which if you ask me is a little bit strange historically speaking, but he's on the $100 bill. He is a big deal. He's the father of the Republic of China. Chiang Kai-shek, another leader of the ROC and the KMT, also not known this way, he is Jiang Zhongshan. And this name too, Zhongshan Lu, is another popular road name in many towns here. So if you're wondering, if you can't be understood, if you're talking about Sun Yat-sen Memorial or Chiang Kai-shek Memorial, it may be, if you're talking to a Taiwanese person, that they're just not used to hearing those ways of saying these names. And if you want to do a Google search, you can go to Wikipedia and see how both these men had lots of different names, because having one name is not necessarily traditional in China. So you've got pen names, you've got honorific names, you've got nicknames, you've got younger person names, older person names, and on top of that, you have two people who spent time in Guangzhou and Hong Kong. So then Sun Yat-sen, for example, is actually more Cantonese, yat meaning one, and that's not one in Mandarin, which is yi. So there's a long story, lots of rabbit holes you could go down if you want to know more. Anyway, there's a lot more that you can dig into with many videos and guides online, but I hope this gives you a good lay of the land for functioning in Taiwan.